Hello everyone, my name is Steve Camargo, but some of you guys might know me as the creator of KicksArt. KicksArt is a sneaker art brand that creates high quality content, products, and resources for sneaker artists. Today I'll be sharing with you guys both what I do as a full-time sneaker artist as well as my story of how this all came to be. Let's get into it. This presentation is how I went from being a graphic designer to a full-time sneaker artist. So to start, let's talk about what it is I exactly do as a full-time sneaker artist. I essentially have these two buckets that I carry around. I have the business operations, the boring functions that I have to perform day to day to actually function the business. And then I have the stuff that I actually make, the art itself. I'm not going to go into all the boring details of the different business operations that I have to do, but in some capacity, I have to do every single one of these, right? I have to fulfill the orders. I have to actually market the products and maintain the website. Got to reply to a ton of emails, but the one that I do want to focus on in particular is reorganizing storage. So, video time. So if you're familiar with the app TikTok, you can follow me on there at KicksArt. The name of this video is my parents let me remodel half the garage for my business storage. Otherwise, there would literally be stuff all over the house, so that wouldn't be great. So next we have this wall that we haven't painted in 30 years that we want to take care of. So I'm going to give it a nice fresh coat of white paint. And to do that, I have to actually put down all the plastic on the floor. So this small task is starting to get a little more difficult than I expected. I have to decide on which shelves I want to buy. I have to actually set them up, put my stuff on there. But now I'm starting to get more stuff in. So now I'm going to have to put those on the shelving units. And now I have to go ahead and set up a table so that way I can actually fill orders in the garage. And what I thought was a small task, or what should have been a small task, is like 7 tasks and was supposed to take 1 day, now it takes 4. So now let's actually go into the art that I make, right? We have this split up into 2 subcategories. We have digital content and then we have products. Starting with digital content. If you ever watched a YouTube video, right, or a TikTok video, that's video content, to which I'm on both platforms at KicksArt. I made over 340 videos on each of those platforms. I also have sneaker coloring pages. Guys, I made over 500 of these different sneaker coloring pages from all the brands you guys know of: Nike, Adidas, Balenciaga, Jordan, Louis Vuitton, Asics, and I'm constantly adding more to the website as well. I also have sneaker coloring books, as we saw in the first slide. I currently, at this point, have 3 sneaker coloring books, and hopefully by this point next year, I have a total of 6 or maybe even 8 different books. You can see some shots of the product on the left, as well as a sample of the interior spreads on the right. And the first products that I started with less than 2 years ago in 2019 were sneaker posters. And currently I have all these that I've made. You can see that my style incorporates a heavy amount of illustration as well as a lot of typography that's repeated, or just graphic design type elements that I would define as my quote unquote style, right? This is by far my favorite that I've done so far, the Kobe one, rest in peace. And I've also done sneaker stickers. So clearly everything that I've made up until this point, all is within the sneaker art brand, right? This is the niche. This is the area that I've targeted. This is what I've wanted to build my brand, KicksArt, around. Let's go ahead and talk about my story of how I came to do all of these things that I'm doing now. Growing up, I'm a naturally creative person, so I would draw all the time. But it wouldn't be until high school where I would actually draw a sneaker for the first time. And this is because growing up, I didn't like drawing figures or people that much, so naturally I wouldn't draw the sneakers either. But I had a project in high school where we had to design a sneaker to help out a particular athlete with their sport. And there was a whole medical component of how we had to relay the benefits of the shoe in relation to what you have to do in the sport and all that good stuff. But the part that I was fascinated with was the actual drawing. So we had to draw our sneaker for the project, and I would be obsessed. I wouldn't stop drawing sneakers all throughout high school. Now, going into college, at this point, I'm a freshman. This is 4 years later again. I feel confident enough in my abilities to actually post on Instagram for the first time. Now, this is kind of interesting. At this point, this is 2013. Instagram is only 3 years old, right? Because it started in 2010. For you guys who might be in 8th grade, right? Or maybe you guys that are younger or older, I want you to know that when I was in 8th grade, that was when I got my first social media account, and that was from MySpace. I'm not sure if you guys even know what MySpace is, but if you do, you probably don't have a MySpace account. You know why? Because it's not cool. It's not popular anymore. Social media, as I was growing up, going through middle school and high school, it was also starting, evolving, maturing into what it is now. So seeing that progression was fascinating. I'm posting my work on Instagram. And now this is incredible because anybody from all over the world can see my photos, they can see my work, and they can give me feedback, right? They can give me suggestions. They can say, hey, I like your work. Can you do this shoe? Hey, I like your style. Can you do this shoe? And because people are giving me requests, I'm starting to expand my style because some of the requests entail sneakers that maybe I wouldn't do myself, right? Because maybe it would be a little bit outside my zone of my skill, or, you know, it would be something that I would be too nervous to do because it would incorporate a particular design or maybe incorporate colors that I don't have or something of the sorts, right? So there's always an excuse, but because other people were requesting me to do it. I was more motivated to get it done because I wanted to learn to improve. And I got better. I was expanding my skills. I was expanding my range. And it was getting interesting because now at this point, this is around 2014, I started to ask myself the question, are there other people that are way better artists than me that have made YouTube videos or some kind of, visual, maybe an article or something that I can learn from? I can see their style, right? I can maybe learn their thought process. I can see their technique, something, anything. If it's just one small thing that I can learn from, that would be a lot of value for me. So I said, okay, I'll search on YouTube. And surprisingly, there's no sneaker drawing videos on YouTube. And this is so interesting because I said, okay, if this is the kind of videos that I would want to watch, I wonder how many other people would be interested in this. And in order for me to actually see how big the market is for these kinds of videos, I would have to be the person to make the YouTube channel of me drawing sneakers. And this is where KicksArt started. And it was such a simple idea. It was sneaker drawing videos, right? I would have a 5-minute time-lapse sneaker drawing video. The first one was the Air Jordan 3 that we have here. And with that video, I would have the corresponding sneaker coloring page available online to print out. Because to make a YouTube channel is free. I have a cell phone so I can shoot a video and then I can get free video editing software, compile it together, upload it to YouTube. And then this website, Flickr, which is owned by Yahoo, is a free photo sharing website. There's thousands of these, right? They're very common. So over a few years, I would realize, okay, wait a minute. My photos are starting to get a decent amount of views. And I have a decent amount of coloring pages at this time too. I have like, let's say 30 or maybe even 50 at this point. So I say, okay, I'll go ahead and I'll make my own website because why not, right? My photos are already getting a lot of views. My brand, my YouTube page, as well as my Instagram are both getting kind of popular. I'm getting a lot of attention. So I said, okay, I'll make my own website. And clearly there's nothing but potential when it comes to this website. There's nothing but white space, right? We can see even with this shoe over here, the back of the shoe is cropped off, so it's not fitting within the thumbnail properly. And then the backs of these two images, it's kind of yellowy. It's almost a little dirty because I didn't take the time to properly clean up the surrounding parts of the image in Photoshop. But it was a simple idea at the time, and I was super pumped for this. However, I kept asking myself the question, how can I make this simple idea better? And today, this is at least currently what the answer is looking like. It's a much more fleshed out, professional looking resource. It's certainly much more efficient. It's much easier to find the brand that you want and the shoe within the brand because everything's alphabetical and you can see all the shoes neatly in the thumbnails. And this is the progression of the coloring pages themselves. In the beginning, these are the kind of pages that I would find back online when I first fell in love with sneakers. I would search the name of the shoe and the coloring page. And that's it. You just have the shoe in the center. However, as I'm growing as a graphic designer because I'm going to school, and I'm kind of incorporating my style into the work that I did for this brand, I said, okay, I don't want these pages to feel like cute little sneaker coloring pages. Because for whatever it's worth, if any of this interests you, there's a lot of jobs that go into making one of these sneakers. The actual footwear designer, pattern materials, colors, there's tons of jobs that go into making one of these sneakers. So if any of that interests you, I have good news for you, right? Around 2019, I would graduate from college, the Art Institute of Tampa. I'd get a bachelor's in graphic and web design, and immediately I'd have this job working for this company, C-Tune Design Group. Now, what was neat is that over the course of a year, I would learn the skills and abilities in order to compile together a book that has a ton of complex typography, graphics, and photos, which means that I can make a pretty complex book. I know how to do it efficiently. So why don't I make my own sneaker coloring book? I've already had my pages that I've been making for years. They look pretty good. I'm a graphic designer by trade, so I can certainly make the cover and the logo for my brand and all that stuff. And now I know how to make a book, and that's what I did. And now I just released my third sneaker coloring book, and hopefully in a month or two, I can start working on my fourth, which would be the 90s retro coloring book, and I'm super excited for that. And who knows where my journey is going to take me from here. Currently, I'm doing a ton of public speaking opportunities. So to recap, how did I get started in the field that I'm in? This is one of the most common questions that I get from students. And the answer is simple. It's this. This is what qualifies me to speak with you guys today. This is what allows me to do all the things that I'm doing. Is because one day in high school, I accidentally drew this. And this accidentally did all of this. So don't be afraid to try something new. I drew a sneaker one day and it did all this for me. Thank you. And before we wrap up the video, if you liked any of the things that you saw in the presentation and you want to learn any of the skills that I used in order to build the products that I've made, then I want to let you guys know of my sponsor of today's video, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community for creatives where millions come together to take the next step in their creative journey. They offer thousands, literally thousands, of inspiring classes for creatives and curious people alike, such as topics including illustration, graphic design, photography, UI and UX design, creative writing, animation, fine art, music or music production, film and video, marketing, productivity, freelance, web development, crafts, and more. Now, they actually have a pretty nice selection of free courses that you can go ahead and take advantage of right now, but the first 1,000 people to use the link in my description will get access to Skillshare Premium for free. After the free trial ends, it's only less than $10 a month. If you're someone who's into graphic design like me, I highly recommend Aaron Draplin's logo design course. Thank you so much, Skillshare, for sponsoring today's video.